Good afternoon, class. I just wanted to offer some quick advice for those of you that are starting to work on your project if you had some trouble with especially the CSS. So for example, if I start and run our program, launch it in the browser, and I decide I want to tweak the CSS some, go into CSS file, and change the background color, just do red as an example. And you'll notice that it doesn't seem to change. The reason for this is actually Chrome. This web browser is looking at the names of the incoming requested objects, and we can see that if we go to inspect and take a look at our network tab, refresh the page, notice it's pulling in all these different values, and our site.css took 0 minutes, or 0 milliseconds, and in part that's because it looked at that and said, oh, it's the same name, it hasn't been told that it's changed, so I'm going to reuse the existing one, so that the one that it downloaded just a minute ago instead of the one I just made changes to. Now if we look at the JavaScript file on the other hand, notice that this JavaScript file has this question mark v equals and a whole cluttery string appended to it. That cluttery string is being made if we go look at our layout by this helper, ASP append version equals true. That basically appends that string to it, and that string will change every time we compile so that we're actually pulling down a complete different file each time. Now for some reason they don't do this with the CSS files, but it actually does work with the CSS files. So if we want to make that site.css always update as well, we'll just add that ASP append version equals true to the link element. Now if we run code, you should see that background. Fortunately, it's on a button. And I don't actually have a button on my page. Let's find something else that can show that. Well, let's just make the whole page red. I'll try one more. And boom, we've got a red page. So if you were trying to update your CSS and it wasn't working for you, that is probably what was going on, was that your browser was actually caching that CSS file. Also notice that you can actually make changes to the CSS while the program is still running, and when we refresh the page, those changes will take place. So that's a pretty easy way of running and checking things. One other tool that can be very helpful is if we go to our page and inspect a particular element, and notice that this is the H1 we're hovering over, and it gives us those details. And down here in the Styles tab, will actually show us all the styles that are being applied to that specific tag, so you can check to make sure that the styles that you wanted are shown there. We can also add our own temporarily here to try things out, see how they look. If we like them, then we can go ahead and put them in as permanent rules in our CSS. This is just a really handy way to quickly see and work with the CSS that's being applied to your web page. So that wraps up my helpful tips for the day, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful time playing with this.